He thought he was clever. A midlife crisis wrapped in designer suits, fake apologies, and lipstick on the collar. My husband thought he could replace me with his assistant and walk away clean. But what he didn't know, what he never even considered, was that I had already seen the signs, already started preparing. I smiled through his lies, played the part of the oblivious wife. But behind the curtain, I was setting the stage for a finale he'd never forget. Because when he read the fine print on the papers he so eagerly signed, his world crumbled. The days after Mark left were blurred with tears and sleepless nights. But amidst the fog of heartbreak, something sharpened inside me. I remembered things, receipts I wasn't supposed to see, changes to our finances he said were routine. I began to collect everything. I poured through old emails, documents, our shared Dropbox. What I found didn't just sting, it burned. Mark had rewritten our will 6 months ago, without my knowledge. He'd shifted retirement funds into a personal account and took out a loan against our home equity, all timed perfectly with his exit. But what he didn't know was that I still had legal access to everything. And better yet, I had a lawyer friend, Claire, who owed me a favor from law school. Claire read the documents and whistled. "You've got him. He thinks he's clever, but this is fraud if he didn't get your consent." I wasn't just a heartbroken wife anymore. I was a woman on a mission. Mark filed for divorce through his lawyer in a high-rise downtown. It was cold, clinical. He requested an amicable separation. Claire and I smiled politely across the table at his smug new attorney, who clearly thought I'd roll over like every other betrayed spouse. But when Claire slid a thick folder across the table, everything changed. Inside, documented proof of the unauthorized transactions, the will amendment, and the loan he forged in both our names. "You'll want to read the fine print," Claire said calmly. Mark's face turned pale as paper. His lawyer asked for a recess. What followed was a storm of negotiations. I could have gone public, dragged his name through the courts, but I didn't. I asked for everything I was owed and a little more, enough to start over without his shadow looming. He agreed, quickly. I moved out of the house we once shared. He insisted on keeping it, as if the bricks and mortar would make him feel secure, let him have the ghosts. I rented a sunlit condo by the coast. I got a rescue dog. I started painting again. For the first time in years, I breathed without anxiety. People always say heartbreak changes you. They're right. I'm not the same woman who once believed in Mark's empty promises. I'm stronger now, quieter, but fiercer. I don't ignore red flags anymore. And I don't apologize for protecting myself. Mark tried to erase me with a signature and a new woman, but he forgot something vital. I read the fine print, and it saved my life. It started subtly, as betrayal often does. A late meeting here, a forgotten dinner there. At first I brushed it off. After all, Marcus was a partner at a prestigious law firm. Long hours came with the job, right? But then came the silences, the kind that lingered even when we were in the same room. The way his eyes no longer lit up when I walked in. The way his phone always faced down on the table. Locked, guarded, like it held secrets meant to stay. Hidden. I should have known. I was a corporate strategist by trade. I could predict market shifts, read through vague contracts like a hawk. But when it came to my own marriage, I had blind spots, shaped by love, smoothed by trust, until the IFE night I picked up his suit jacket to take it to the dry cleaners. A receipt fluttered out of the pocket. 2 dinners, at Bellini's, a place we used to celebrate anniversaries. Only that night I'd been home with the flu. Alone, confronting Marcus was a masterclass in evasion. "Clients," he said, not quite, meeting my gaze. Late negotiations, but his shirt collar smelled of perfume I didn't own, and his smile was laced with guilt. He had changed passwords, locked drawers, started taking early morning jogs, only to return freshly showered from a gym he never joined. And then, the name slipped out. Sabrina, his assistant. The young, eager, always there when he called Sabrina. He didn't confess. He didn't need to. I saw the truth in how softly he said her name, how his eyes darted when I mentioned her. He moved out within the week. No apology, No explanation. Just a note on the counter that read, "This isn't working anymore." I stared at that note for hours until the pain hardened, until I remembered the prenup and the clause he forgot I wrote. Marcus thought he knew everything about that document. We had signed it before the wedding, both too proud and modern to pretend money wouldn't matter. But he hadn't read the latest revision, the one I quietly slipped in after he insisted we include infidelity protections for his peace of mind. It stated in careful legalese, "In the event of proven infidelity, the party responsible forfeits all claim to the jointly held marital assets and must provide a one-time compensation equal to 40% of their liquid net worth." He'd signed it because he trusted me, because I was supposed to never be the one wronged. He underestimated two things: my foresight and my silence. Didn't scream. I didn't cry. I gathered evidence, photos, hotel charges. A voice memo Sabrina left him when she thought she was alone in their condo, whispering about when he'd finally make it official. Then I called my lawyer. Serving Marcus the papers was anticlimactic. He opened the door in a white shirt, sleeves rolled up, Sabrina's voice echoing from inside. He laughed until he saw the envelope. Then he turned ghost pale. "I thought we agreed to stay civil," he muttered, scanning the documents. "I am being civil," I said. "I'm honoring the contract you signed." He tried charm, then guilt, then rage. But I didn't flinch. When he realized the clause was ironclad or that I had airtight proof of his affair, his voice cracked. "I didn't think you'd go through with this." "That's the problem, Marcus," I said quietly. "You never thought I could." His firm issued a quiet statement weeks later about partner restructuring. Sabrina's internship mysteriously ended. The condo they shared was sold, and I reclaimed more than money. I reclaimed myself. The mediation room was sterile, cold like a dentist's office, with water bottles lined up like tiny sentinels and tissues already placed in the center of the table, anticipating someone's breakdown. He sat across from me, freshly shaved, crisp shirt, fake remorse smeared across his face like a cheap cologne. Beside him, his lawyer, a young, smug man who barely glanced at me. My lawyer, Miranda, opened the folder slowly. She looked calm, but I could feel the storm brewing under her skin. She'd read every word, twice. She knew what I was about to drop. "Before we begin," Miranda said coolly, sliding a paper forward, "we need to address the prenup." His lawyer scoffed. "The prenup's irrelevant now. They've been married 12 years. The assets, it's very relevant," Miranda interrupted, placing another document on the table. "Because of this clause. Page 6, paragraph 3. His lawyer's face twitched as he read it. Then he read it again. And again. My husband Daniel leaned over, reading along, confusion slowly turning into dawning horror. It was my clause. My addition. Hidden in legal language, tucked into what he thought was standard paperwork years ago, during our engagement, when he was so desperate to look generous and successful. The clause read, "In the event of infidelity, the faithful party retains primary ownership of all joint assets, including but not limited to property, financial accounts, and business equity. The unfaithful party forfeits claim." He turned to me, eyes wide, disbelief coloring his voice. You added this?" I didn't smile. I didn't flinch. I just said, "I protected myself." His lawyer tried to object, but Miranda was already handing over notarized proof of his affair. Hotel bills, texts, timestamps. And the coup de grace, the signed witness statement from his assistant's ex-boyfriend confirming the timeline. "I don't think we'll be contesting this," Miranda said, folding her hands. Daniel slumped back in his chair, pale. For once, he had nothing to say. Daniel didn't speak as we left the mediation room. His footsteps behind me sounded smaller somehow, less confident, less arrogant. The man who had once towered over rooms now trailed me like a defeated shadow. 3 weeks. Passed. The house? Mine. The vacation property in Aspen? Also mine. The joint account he tried to bleed dry? Refunded with interest, thanks to my lawyer's forensic team. And the business? The real prize? That was where I made my final move. I had quietly started purchasing small shares of his company through a shell entity months ago, long before I'd confirmed the affair. I'd seen the late-night texts, the whispered calls, the change in his cologne. I had doubts, and I acted on them. Cautiously, strategically. Now, with his reputation stained by scandal and a looming shareholder meeting, I revealed my hand. I walked into the conference room not as a scorned wife, but as the majority shareholder. The Leisgoa boardroom went silent. Daniel's eyes locked onto mine. "What are you doing here?" he asked, trying to sound calm. But he wasn't. Not anymore. I stepped forward and placed the final document on the table. "Resignation request," I said. "You'll find it's been seconded by the board." He looked around. No allies, no outstretched hands, just silent. Tight-lipped nods, and then he signed. I turned to leave, heels clicking on the polished floor, the weight of years falling from my shoulders with each step. He lost the house, the money, the business, and worst of all, he lost the woman he thought he could betray without consequence. And me? I walked away with everything, except him. And that was the biggest win of all.